Today is September 16th, 2025. Today's information is important information. Two such important conditions are needed to properly build self-esteem. Two important conditions are needed for us to remember them, and that is consistency, And for actions, the second condition is important, for actions to be on our terms, so. In making decisions in various areas of life, these two important conditions should be considered. Consistency is very important. They can be tiny steps. Tiny steps are better, even just 5 minutes a day, or 5 minutes from Monday to Friday, but it's important to maintain consistency. The second very important condition is that the action should be on our terms. That the action should be on our terms. Now I will read how I wrote it down. So consistency in action is very important. To properly build self-esteem, lack of consistency causes feelings of frustration, lack of a sense of fulfillment. So if consistency is maintained, the feeling will be the opposite. We will feel satisfaction, we will feel fulfillment. So this condition is very important, okay? The second condition also, in our consistent steps, we must fight to express ourselves. That means that these steps should be as much on our terms as possible. So fighting on our terms means that I fight to express myself, for it to be the way I desire, the way I want it, to include my vision, for me to be expressed, okay? And when we also maintain this condition, we fight to maintain this condition, we feel satisfaction, we feel fulfillment, we feel nourished. And now considering, for example, a calling. A calling is a good example, okay, because we cannot ignore that we are called to something. We must fight for fulfillment in our calling. We must fight for that fulfillment in our calling, and for example, a calling. I determine when, on which days, for example from Monday to Friday. This is very important. So how do I express myself now? How do I express myself? For example, in a calling, so on my terms, so that I express myself, how I would like it. So it's very important that I determine when I perform a given activity. For example, on which days. For example, a calling, it's important to me that I would like from Monday to Friday. So I determine on which days. When, from Monday to Friday. And you have to stick to it. So it's important on those days, even a tiny step, okay? Even a tiny step. As much as I can, as much as I am able today, with the resources I have available in connection with spiritual attacks, even a tiny step. But it's important that I do it the way I want, so time is important. So for example, I want from Monday to Friday, and it's important to me that from Monday to Friday as much as I can and how I can. So what I would like to convey, what word, for it to be my work. Okay, and now in connection with your calling, whether you are recording some songs, or painting, for you to express what you want to convey, for it to be your message in your calling. So the most of you, the greatest presence of you, your words, your thoughts, these two things should be considered in every area of life. So remember this. Consistency and fighting for those steps to be on our terms. In every area of life, that is, self-love, marriage, calling, movement, healthy eating, for example, meeting people, etc., gardening, all areas of life. All areas of life, there are many of these areas of life. But the most important ones are self-love, marriage, calling, movement, healthy eating. These are the basic areas. Meeting people. So in every area of life, when you make a decision, to ensure that actions follow the decisions, because it's not enough to decide that I want a calling and I will do this and that. It's important that in this decision it is considered how you really want it. And for you to consider how at that moment you are able to do something. This is the popular saying they preach, that small steps have great significance, so you know, small steps on your own terms have enormous significance. Small consistent steps on your own terms are better than, for example, killing yourself in a calling, recording for hours, and so on. Really not convey what you wanted to convey. Okay. Why is this so important? Because even if we are often trained, we are trained by traumas. For example, the devil likes to exploit the calling that you have to do a lot, You understand? When we do a lot, it's easy to lose ourselves. It's very easy for this duty to become a burden, that you have to do a lot, and it's also said that it's not the quantity that counts, but the quality. They also say that less is more, and I agree with that. Really, less is more, and it's not the quantity that counts, but the quality. If you do something out of calling, you will know every day whether you feel satisfaction. For example, now I will record this video and whether I will feel satisfaction, whether I conveyed what I wanted. And I know from experience that usually, when I make shorter videos, I write notes, I prepare. When I make shorter videos, I feel satisfaction that I really convey what I wanted to convey, so I have better quality of communication. And often the devil, even with violence, I don't want to mention it, even with violence recently for months, almost half a year this year, forced me with violence so that I wouldn't feel my feelings and couldn't find my thoughts on this topic, only imposed wrong feelings and his thoughts on me, so that I would do a lot of calling for months, a lot of calling. I only felt frustrated, I felt exhausted, frustrated, there was no me in it. I didn't have a sense of fulfillment. I felt it was leading to death, to burnout, to exhaustion, to my energetic depletion, okay? The devil did it with violence, so there wasn't a gram of my fault in it, okay? So he even goes so far as to do such things totally with violence. To impose feelings on us that we supposedly want when we don't want it, and thoughts that we supposedly want when we don't want it. You understand? He already resorts to such violence, okay? He already resorted to this type of violence in relation to me. And so I know what I'm talking about. Now from experience, I can tell you not to do it this way, because it will cause, in every area of life, in every precious area of life, it will cause you to feel frustration, burnout, exhaustion. It would even end in self-hatred, hatred towards others, because you would be doing something at your own expense, against yourself, contrary to yourself. Take smaller steps, especially precious calling. Take smaller steps, but fight to do it systematically. Then you will feel a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction, nourishment. Instead of frustration. If you don't do it systematically either, so do it in such a way that you are able to do it systematically. So that you fight and really do it on the days you planned. Because if the regularity is also disturbed, you will also feel frustration and lack of fulfillment. I was no longer able to record using my voice. The devil, demons, the evil ones intimidated me so much, they constantly wanted to disturb this regularity too. I thought a lot, I pondered a lot, and regularity is important. That's why I decided to use this program, that I can record during attacks, or even when during attacks I can't record, I can at least write a short text, or send positive slides, but I do the calling, some small steps, from Monday to Friday, as I decided, and I immediately feel a difference in self-esteem. I feel a difference in how I feel. I feel fulfilled, I feel satisfaction, I feel nourished. Yes, it is a battle. It is a battle, it is difficult. You can see how they make it difficult for me, how they are jealous, how they speed things up. You see, you hear, okay, but at least I try. Because giving up would also cause a tragic state, that giving up also leads to death. We would feel broken, that we have no reason to live. So fight, make attempts, use what you can, okay, especially about the calling. But fight in such a way that you maintain regularity. We fight to maintain, it's not that I will succeed, right? We fight to maintain this regularity and we fight to express ourselves on our terms. And in expressing ourselves on our terms, it is especially important to convey, for example, as I have the calling to preach the Word of God, to convey what I want to convey, it is important whether I conveyed what I wanted to convey that day, okay. Plus the days I set for myself to work from Monday to Friday, okay. So this is very important. Remember this. Even write it down somewhere in a frame. I have it in my notes. Try to hang it on a board somewhere, because these are very important conditions. So, a sense of fulfillment, pride, a sense of pride. Pride in oneself, satisfaction, comes when we do things systematically, when we set it for ourselves and fight to do it on our own terms, okay. These two conditions, if we don't maintain them, when it's not on our terms, when there's a lack of consistency, continuity, then unfortunately self-esteem drops. So we will feel frustrated, we will feel frustration and a lack of fulfillment, my dears. A lack of fulfillment and frustration is what we will feel. So self-esteem will drop significantly. The point is to build self-esteem. So self-esteem will grow when we maintain these two conditions. Then we will also, how to recognize it? We will recognize it by feeling a sense of fulfillment, a sense of pride, a sense of satisfaction, such an internal, deep feeling, okay? And if we don't maintain these conditions, unfortunately, we will feel frustration, a lack of fulfillment, such burnout, frustration, a lack of fulfillment, burnout. We will feel bad emotions. We will feel bad emotions, okay? So it's important to remember that. And in the end, if we were, for example, fighting for a calling without consistency, not on our terms, It would ultimately lead to spiritual death, the death of the soul. We would hate ourselves, we would hate others, and we would hate, for example, our calling, and so on. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention. That's all for today. You should hear from me tomorrow.